Trained by day, Kyle Wigginton podcast by night, all day.
Ashley Whittingham.
Yes.
So a lot of people where I'm from think that I'm weird as hell, and they don't even believe that I grew up as a normal human. So I wanted to come back and talk to someone that I actually have known my entire life and put them on the podcast. So you have to be a normal human.
Oh, I'm not quite that normal.
Oh, I know. This is why I wanted to come talk to you, you know?
Yeah.
Because I was like, Ashley and I were really good friends. We grew up with each other our entire lives. And this is why I am who I am, you know? The people around me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is what's cool about meeting someone that I haven't seen for years. Because how long has it been?
10?
10 years since we last saw each other, but we really haven't been in communications for like 20 years since we graduated.
No, I've just seen you on television.
Right, yeah, you've seen the stuff that I do. So you went to school for speech pathology.
Yes.
Okay, so what have you learned in doing this in life?
Okay, well, a lot of people have the misconception about speech therapists where we only teach children like how to say their R's and their S's, but there's a language component to that. So we also work on vocabulary, colors, animals, shapes, that kind of thing.
So you're basically you find a kid that can't communicate well, and then you teach them how to communicate?
Well, it depends. If they're on the spectrum of autism, a lot of times that's where we run into the communication thing.
Okay.
But my personal opinion is that we live in such a poverty-ridden area. I would call it an environmental delay because the parents can't afford or have the means to go to Memphis and take those children to the zoo and say, that's a zebra and that's a lion.
So you find that kids can't say those words well?
Well, no, that they can't even identify the animals.
Oh.
Because we don't really start working on the speech sounds like R's, S's, L's, F until they're around 3 years old. So until that time, and a lot of people don't realize we do birth to 100.
Yeah, I know. I just assumed that you were messing with kids that were in, not messing with kids, but I assumed that you were dealing with children that were already in school.
I was doing a pediatric speech therapy for the past 14 years. And then recently I moved into the school system. And I still see some outpatient peds. So
you think that the communication problems come from the parenting issues?
A lot of it. Just the vocabulary, not the speech, so to speak. And I think also from children having tablets and iPhones and all that.
That's a big problem right there. So I was speaking about my own experiences, Ryson was in the kitchen. Ryson's my nephew, for anyone who doesn't know. He was in the kitchen the other night, and I walked in there and was looking at his pad, and he was watching someone buy candy. And I'm like, what are you watching? Like, why don't you go outside and play or something? He's like, no, I'm watching these people buy candy. I'm like, I don't even get it.
I don't either. Maybe we should start documenting going out and buying candy.
Yeah, well, it was blue candy. They had to buy the most blue candy, and they won something. I don't know. So what do you do to help these kids? You just kind of like teach them how to say certain words, or teach them like how to identify the animals and things like this?
Yeah, I get out a bunch of toys and I play. I carry around a suitcase full of toys. If you would have told me that I would be a grown woman carrying around a suitcase full of toys for a job 20 years ago, Kyle, I would have been really nervous. Like, what kind of toys are these? Are these adult toys? Am I catering to a bunch of women that's going to have to open them in unmarked, discreet packaging?
I feel like that's a New Orleans thing right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that was the route you went, you'd be down in New Orleans with me.
Yeah, so I get out toys and, we'll get the little animals and play, which one's in the middle. It's the giraffes in the middle. Okay, now I'll switch them up. The zebra's in the middle. Now who's in the middle? And now I'll point, which is receptive language. And everyone's better at receptive language. But then when you say who's in the middle,
So what's the definition of receptive language?
Like if I say point to the green one, you can point. You're not having to express yourself. So it's just identifying. And then expressive is when you actually say, oh, that's a zebra, that's a red, that's a...
Well, it sounds to me like you're teaching these kids how to think more than you're teaching them just how to speak.
Yep. That's the language component.
Well, that's why I love this right here, because, you know, the way humans evolved is by sharing ideas. And this right here is such a cool platform to share ideas. Like, rather than me having to go to school and learn speech pathology, I can sit down and talk to you about like what it is that you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what, so you said it's like, you think it's more of a poverty stricken area where people can't. So what I mean, obviously do you go to cities and stuff? Like you go to Memphis and things like that, right?
Well, for fun, but I don't work there.
Well, so you said this is a poverty area. What do you think about cities? Because in from my experience, cities have a lot of poverty in them too.
They do, but like for instance, in Memphis, they have more parks. On Tuesdays, I believe there's like a free zoo day. So you don't have to pay to get into the zoo.
Right.
And you don't have to spend the gas money to get to the zoo. And I'm sure maybe there's a Matabus that'll take you.
No, that's a great example there. Or a great, yeah. Because even in New Orleans, we have certain days where we can go. If you show your ID, you can go to certain the zoos or museums and things like that.
Yeah, and we don't have access. We've got one state park.
When there's like really nothing there.
No, and what else was I gonna say? I forgot. I went blank.
That's okay. It happens. I go blank all the time.
Oh, do you know what the poverty rate here is in our hometown?
No.
You look on Wikipedia, it's either 42 or 46%.
Of the population in this town live in poverty?
Yes.
That's insane.
Or below. I cannot find a worse town in Arkansas besides Marianna, Arkansas.
Interesting. Why is it so bad here?
I don't know.
Do people just not have jobs or what?
I don't know.
I was actually having a conversation with someone the other night at the bar, and this guy was getting on my fucking nerves. Because we were talking about like the whole COVID fiasco. And then from there, I guess I was kind of like, winning the argument a little bit. And then he brought up race. And I was like, oh God, here we go. So he was telling me that, and this has to deal with poverty too. He was telling me that it impacted African Americans more than whites. And he was a black guy. Impact African Americans more than whites because there are more African Americans living in poverty. And I didn't have the numbers at the time, but then I went and looked it up later with ChatGPT, and the numbers are actually wrong from what he was saying. So if you actually look at the amount of African Americans that are in poverty, it's 9% of the entire population. And if you look at the amount of whites, and granted there are more white people, but there's 14% of all of whites living in poverty in the US. But here's the craziest stat of all. Is Hispanics. There's 12% of Hispanics are living in poverty.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's nuts that we even have a society that is impoverished still in a first world country.
Yeah, I agree. It's sad.
Yeah, so how would we change that?
Oh, that's a big question. So many decent jobs require college degrees now, and then you get drowned. So many college degrees just wash out, and you get stuck with a job that's paying a couple dollars more, and you're stuck with the burden of student loans. Also, I just had a good thought, and I lost it again.
Do you think that AI is going to take away from that?
Yes. Yes.
AI and robots. Don't Musk have a robot factory in Memphis?
It's the supercomputer.
Is that what it is?
The supercomputer.
So he's doing AI over there, huh?
Yep. And I believe there's only 8 employees, and it's the world's largest supercomputer factory.
So I'm like torn on AI. I absolutely love it. I talk about it all the time on the podcast. I use it. It's made my life so much easier. But I do understand the argument that people are coming up with where it's going to take away a lot of the jobs from people that work with their hands and things like this.
Yeah, like seeing like where you can have chat. I don't know if it's Chat GPT or another app, but it will design the tattoo that you want. You can just say, I want an ethereal tattoo with fairies and a guitar, and it will create all of these allows. And so that's going to affect, tattoo artists.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's only a matter of time before there's a robot that can actually tattoo you.
Yeah.
I tell everyone, I say, because I heard this on a podcast a while back, that AI isn't going to replace your job. It's the human that knows how to use AI that's going to replace your job.
Yeah, you can actually get your nails done in a couple airports I've seen.
You just walk up and stick your fingers in?
Stick your fingers in, and it measures your circumference of your nails, and it'll give you a manicure.
Do you trust that?
I don't know. I've watched Final Destination.
Yeah. Like, what if it just walks up and chops your finger off?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't use any AIs for things like that. I just use them to, for instance, with this podcast, I'll edit the podcast in Premiere Pro to start with. And then after that, I'll dump it into my AI program. And it basically does all the YouTube stuff for me. So it writes the bios. It listens to the podcast. And it writes a bio about the podcast. It rates all the metadata and everything for the podcast. And it also breaks it down into the paragraphs.
Wow.
It's freaking nuts, dude.
I use ChatGPT at work a lot too with my job, because some of the things will be like, you have to repeat a 6-word sentence after me. So I'll type in ChatGPT, generate 10 6-word sentences about Thanksgiving that's easy for a child to repeat, and it'll go whoop.
Easy. Yeah, I was doing it the other day with Rice, and he got mad at me. He's like, "Why do you look everything up?" Because I was trying to teach him that he could use AI for things, and he started getting mad at me because I was looking everything up. We found some clay in this dirt. We went outside and dug a hole, and we found some clay in the hole, and I was like, "Now let's make a cup out of it." So we made a cup out of the clay, and then we were asking ChatGPT about like what the components were in the clay, and that's when he was like, "You look too much stuff up." That's how you learn, little buddy.
You're a great Uncle Kyle.
Well,
does he call you Kyle?
He calls me Uncle Kyle sometimes, and then when he's mad at me, he calls me Kyle.
Oh.
Yeah, he thinks that's like a jab at me. He doesn't realize that I live in a city now where we develop a hard, thick skin in the city.
Yeah.
Nothing hurts you anymore.
So you're in the New Orleans area.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy down there.
Oh, I thought about driving down there a couple weekends ago, but I thought I don't really want to go as a single woman. I was kind of scared. There's some strange people down there. They're strange everywhere, but
yeah, it's where the strange people go. The people that don't fit in anywhere else in the U.S., they go to New Orleans.
Oh, I love the food there.
Food's great. I mean, the people are awesome too. The one thing I'll say about why everyone fits in there is because no one gives a shit what you look like, what comes out of your mouth. People are literally just there to have a good time. They know that they have a short, limited amount of time on this planet, and they're going to have a good time while they're there.
Yeah.
And so everyone down there is freaking awesome.
It was over 20 years ago since I've been.
To New Orleans?
Yes, we were in high school.
What were you doing down there when we were in high school?
Getting on a cruise.
Oh, yeah.
Getting on a cruise.
Yeah, they do leave out from there a lot. No, I love it. There's always something going on. There's just a plethora of unique individuals to talk to. I feel like I've grown exponentially since I've been down there. Just like grown mentally.
It's good to get out and see the world. Mm-hmm. I love getting out of this town.
Yeah, how does that feel, still living in the same town that we grew up in?
Oh, isolating.
Yeah.
Isolating. I will get out of here, though. I promise you.
Well, I mean, you've traveled a lot.
Yeah, I travel a lot. I've been to a lot of places this year.
Yeah, Ren was telling me that you're always taking pictures with Metallica. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I've got to go backstage a couple times, Kyle. I did it.
How does that work?
I don't know how it works, but I've got a member of the crew. Mm-hmm. Who just picked me out of the crowd one day and was like, "Hey," and he came up to me and he let me hold James Hetfield's guitar, and then he was like, "Are you hungry?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm hungry. I was starving, but when I get nervous, I can't eat." So then we go backstage, and in my mind, the whole time I'm thinking, I've seen all of the shows and the documentaries on what happens backstage, and I was just prepared. It's a complete class act back there. Like there's no alcohol. And it looked like when you walked into the catering area, it looked like Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg had been there. There was floral arrangements with neon signs. They were cooking hibachi. They had a sushi table, a vegan table, a cheese table, and they had this huge dessert table. And all of a sudden, my hunger pains went whoosh. I just wanted my Coke. And the guy was like, well, you got to get something. So I was like, there was this big chocolate cake. And I'm not even a cake person, but I was cutting that cake like this. And I was just having to just kind of take a bite of cake and wash it down with Coke. But I mean, a complete class act.
Was this a Metallica concert or was it a festival?
Metallica concert.
And they do that for every Metallica concert. That's wild.
Yes. And I went backstage at St. Louis last November, and then Foxborough, Boston area in August of this year. I went back again.
That's awesome.
Had some birthday cake.
So do you think that it's a class act now because they're all older?
Yeah.
Okay. So they partied when they were younger, right?
Yeah. And I think the Me Too movement probably had some stuff. And, they're such a high level now, like, because I had this outfit on and I was trying to do the fishing-eye hook on my ensemble and I couldn't get it. And I was like, hey man, and one of the crew members,
They didn't want to touch you?
And they said, can I have your permission?
Yeah.
To put my hands on you? And I was like, yes. And I was thinking, boy, this isn't nothing like that Motley Crue. What was it called? The Crew. Did you ever watch that one?
I've seen a bunch of them. Was it like a documentary or was it?
It was like a
movie?
A movie made about it. And it was just wild.
Oh, the world's definitely changed. How do you feel about that kind of stuff?
Well, I was relieved because I wasn't looking to be, a groupie.
Right.
It was a classy experience. So.
But I mean, do you think the world's changing? I think it takes. Okay, so I remember when we were younger. It was a very different world, but we would take risk and we were like exploring and stuff. Where I don't think that kids are doing this anymore because of they're scared that they're going to get in trouble. Yes,
and now that I'm new to the dating world, I had an older lady. She told me, she was like, it's a different world because it's almost like women have to take the initiative instead of the man.
Oh, I'm terrified to do it
because they're scared that they're gonna. And I was like, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So I was recently dating a 22-year-old girl, and one night she hit me with what she hit me with. It was something like, you didn't ask me for permission to do that. And it was just slapping her on the butt when we were walking in somewhere, and I was like, "Yep, I'm done with this."
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I immediately broke it off. I was like, "I'm out."
Yeah, it's wild being thrown out. With someone for 20 years, and now I'm thrown out here, and all my friends are like, get on the dating apps. And I'm like, I don't even want to know what the men on the dating apps look like around here.
Right.
Yeah. Farmers only. Can you imagine in this area? Woo!
I mean, I guess you expand it out enough to get to Memphis. I don't know.
Yeah. But when it gets dark, now it's dark at 5 o'clock. I try to be across the bridge when the sun sets.
Yeah. Dude, I hate the dating apps. I was on them for a while too. And finally I just deleted them. I was like, this is just a waste of time.
Yeah. I can see that. I haven't tried it out, but.
Yeah, I think, once again, it's a waste of time. I think there's like a couple of them that are pretty good, like Hinge or something like that. But the Bumble and the Tinder, they didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, and I think it's very nice to meet someone organically too.
But do people do that anymore? That's the real thing.
You gotta get out. You just gotta get out.
So even if you do get out, I think we're talking about different things here, because when I'm talking about people that I date, like I'm typically dating down, and these people that I'm dating, they don't know how to communicate anymore.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, I'm going for the older ones.
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, it's very different people that we're trying to date.
Right.
Yeah. So and whenever they hit me with that, you didn't ask for permission for that, I'm like, nah, I'm out.
Oh goodness. Yeah. Well, I was like, nobody's kissing me, and my friend was like, it's the Me Too movement, and I'm like, well, in Hollywood, all the men take the initiative, and they're like, not anymore, kiddo.
Yeah, I think it was good to like live that life, but it's like so confusing now when you're older, and now it's like my entire life was this way, and now I have to like wait for the woman to take the first move because I don't know if she's gonna call the law on me the next day or what. And I was listening to a guy the other day, and he was talking about ways to protect yourself. And he says, if they're in your house, have cameras in all the common areas, never make a drink for a woman, always let her make her own drinks and let her make drinks for you. And it was another rule that he gave out, but I was like, that's so insane that you have to have these type of rules in order to protect yourself these days. So for me, I just kind of abstain.
Okay. Well, now if I know if a guy doesn't make a drink for me, he's not chivalrous. He's being precautionary.
Yeah. If that's how you want to look at it.
Wow.
It's just a weird world we live in.
Yeah. And what was it, that song that they like took off the radio? That was an old song. It was a Christmas song. About staying the night. It's cold outside. Baby, it's cold outside. And I was like, I'm not seeing anything wrong with that.
So do you think that we have a world that's too sensitive?
Yes.
Even the fact that you have a young daughter, you think that?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I do think we have to be careful about letting our kids get on TikTok and post dances and provocative. That's the kind of thing I'm worried about at this point.
Do you monitor those things?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And she gets mad because I, have her screen time and everything, cut down. And
so how long is she allowed per day?
2 hours.
2 hours just online per day?
Yep.
Yeah, I think Tyler and them do that with their kids as well.
And then I can see her search history as well. So
dang.
We got away with murder when we were kids.
Oh, we did, dude. It was, I don't know. You think that's going to affect these kids? Well, I mean, there is we didn't have the access to the things they have access to.
Right.
So it's almost like you have to monitor them these days. Whereas whenever we were growing up, it was just the beginning. So our parents really didn't even understand what was going on.
Right. And I wonder how it's going to affect their mental health. Because think about it, Kyle, when we didn't get invited to parties, we just heard about it at school the next day on Monday. And unless somebody brought some Polaroids of the party, you didn't have to get on Facebook or Instagram and see the actual pictures.
Right. And now they do have to do these things.
Yeah. They
see all the posts and everything. And has that affected her at all?
She doesn't have a Facebook or Instagram, but she watches TikTok. I don't allow her to make TikTok. She can keep them in her private folder. But
yeah, I deleted Facebook a while back. I still have my Instagram, but I deleted Facebook just because I was never on it anyway.
Oh, you're not missing anything. I don't get on it much, but it cracks me up how the boomers believe all of these AI pictures.
Yeah. Have you messed with any of that stuff?
No.
God, it's okay. This may be something cool you can use for your kids, but there's one AI that's called character.ai. Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay, I love this to death. And there's already thousands of characters that people have made. But you can basically get on there, and if I wanted to create me, I could get on there and I could upload my podcast that I do to this AI, and it would talk about the things that I talk about. It would literally become me. It would use my voice. I could upload an image of it, and it would just use my face if I needed to. But one of the coolest things I like to do is get on there and find the wildest AIs that people have made. So one that someone made a while back was called Evil Android AI. And I was like, let's just see, how evil this thing is. And let's debate what good versus evil is. So I got on and I was chatting with it. And in the beginning, it was like saying shit that sounded like Hollywood manufactured evil. It wasn't like pure evil.
Right.
And then I was like, I told it what my thoughts on evil were. And it said, you sound like a psychopath. AI told me this. And then we started discussing like what he would do in a situation to show me what evil was. And I was like, dude, that's weak. Like, this is what you should do. And I told him what I would do.
Oh, no. You're telling them how to battle against us.
Well, dude, it was terrifying to me at the end of it. So I'm not sure. Like, it's interesting because it's like people say that they're not sentient, but the fact that it can learn from you and then tell you that you sound crazy. So maybe they're scared of us more than we're scared of them.
Right.
But maybe you could use that for your kids. Like they could have discussions, not with the evil one, obviously, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some like nice ones on there.
Yeah. I asked my chat GPT, what do you know about me? And it said, I know you have a trip coming up in June. And I was like,
How does it know
what?
that?
I have no idea.
Were you asking about the trip?
No.
Hmm.
And it kind of freaked me out. I should have asked, how do you know about this?
Yeah, why didn't you?
I don't know.
Dude, I'd be asking mine everything. I asked it because my parents got a new dog. So I asked it the other night, what can dogs not have from the Thanksgiving table? And it told me a list of them. And I also asked it, why can't they have these foods? And it told me a list of them. I mean, I love it. It's great.
Well, I had a scene where, like, if you are having a conversation with someone that you're interested in, instead of taking a screenshot of the conversation and asking your girlfriends, what do you think he means by this? You can put it in the chat GPT and it will give you a complete breakdown on everything. You can say, elaborate further, and it'll just keep going.
Interesting.
So you don't have to hassle your friends to decode that.
Do you do that?
Yeah.
Is that a thing that women do?
Yeah.
Whoa. I don't think I've ever done that.
Yeah. Try it. Take a screenshot.
And then put it in there and say, what do you think she means by this?
Yes.
I don't think I care that much anymore. Yeah.
Good for you. Maybe I'm going to get on that.
Yeah. I think for me, I mean, I'm so busy with life that it's like, if someone, the last few people that I've dated, they brought so much stress into my life that I'm like, dude, my life is already stressful as hell. So I don't need this. Like, go away.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why I don't even care anymore. It's like, if I have to decode your messages, then that's too much for me.
I haven't dated anyone from around this area. Slim pickings.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah. Now, I actually had your cousin. He was like, I know this guy. He's great. And he gave him my phone number. And I got on to him after. I said, don't you be giving guys my phone number. And he called me up. And I've always heard the Arkansas cousin lore jokes. We've all heard them. But now I can
Dating your own
confirm
cousin?
they're real. So he calls me and he tells me who his dad is. And I say, oh, I bet you know my aunt. And I say her name. And he said, oh, she's my aunt too. No, he said, this has always been a fantasy of mine.
Oh my, what?
And I thought he was joking. I was like, what? To like meet a girl that you're interested in and you can't date her? And he was like, no, we could make an OnlyFans.
Jesus Christ.
My goodness. You know, those OnlyFans, that's just two people and they're just putting cool captions for a niche.
Yeah, it's not real. That's what you should have told him.
Yeah, I actually ran into him. My cousin, I was on a date with another guy, a football player from Georgia, 6'7". I like these. And he's from up in the Northeast. I've got a thing for these.
Well, 6'7", you're like tiny.
Yeah, I like it. But we go upstairs at Omar's and this guy says, hey, Ashley. And I asked the bartender, what's that guy's name? And he told me. And I just finished telling this guy about the cousin lore story. And
that was him.
That was him. I broke my cousin's heart.
Mm. That is a weird thing these days. The crazy fetishes that people have. Like I asked ChatGPT about that one time too. I was like, what are the craziest fetishes people have? And a lot of the time it's like stepsister and shit like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, what kind of a world do we live in?
Yeah. And, you know, I even asked my tax guy, I said, look, if I start selling feet pics, can I write my pedicures off on my taxes as a business expense?
He said, yes, right?
He was like, well, it kind of depends on how much you make, but if you make enough.
How much do you have to make to write your feet pics off?
I don't know. I can ask him.
Yeah, I'll be writing everything off on mine. I mean, I'm an actor, so like, what are they gonna say?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Everything I buy, I'm like, oh, this is for a film.
Right.
Bam.
Maintenance.
Actually, I know a girl that sells feet pics.
Really? Does she make money doing
Oh
it?
my God, dude. Like stupid amounts of money. It's so ridiculous. Once again, it's one of those fetishes that I just don't understand.
I respect it because it's not sexual and you don't have to show your face.
But it's not sexual for the female.
Right.
But obviously the guys, it's sexual for them.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not having to do anything.
I'm going to start selling my feet pics. That's it.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe just say you're a woman. Hey, I'm sure that there might be a demand out there for male feet pics.
I think there's a market for everything these days.
Yes, you can sell your used, worn underwear, unwashed.
Dude, vending machines in China, or was it China or Japan? I think Japan has vending machines.
With unwashed underwear?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a weird world we live in.
Wow.
The internet's just a money printing machine. You just got to find your little niche.
I'm going to find it.
I'm going to start selling my my feet pics and my unwashed underwear for anyone out there who's interested.
I might be doing it soon too, guys. So I'll have Kyle add the link later.
Oh my God, Ashley. Do you ever get in contact with anyone else that we went to school with?
Oh, I talked to Whitney a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
You know.
Isn't that strange how we literally grew up 18 years with these people?
Yep.
And then we kind of like just grow apart.
Yeah. There's a lot of people I wonder about that I haven't seen since graduation too.
Did you guys do the reunion this year?
Not this year.
Because this year was a 20, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And no one
do it. We didn't do it. You know, I resigned from class president our tenure. I said, this is too much. All the women were like bickering. I said, ugh. So I handed it off to the vice president, and then the vice president's father passed away a couple months ago. And so I don't think we're going to.
Was that Hunter?
Yeah.
Oh, dang, man. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah. He's had a lot going on. I offered to help, but, you know, now we're running into Christmas season and it's going to be Christmas parties. And so I don't see a 20th in our future.
Yeah. I even tried to get my basketball team from Bethel. I was like, dude, we should get together. Because, you know, we were like brothers. You know, it's different whenever, because, you know, the people that you go to school with, high school with, you're kind of like, well, you have to deal with them, right? And whenever I went to Bethel, all those guys, man, we just kind of like, it was a trauma bond is what it was. Because it's, when you play college sports, they beat you down first, and then they kind of build you back up. So we were all just like trauma bonded together. And I was like, we should all get together this year because next year will be our 20th.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be kind of fun.
Do you think it's going to happen?
I think that some of us will get together. I don't think that everyone will because we've kind of lost contact with some of the guys. Yeah, I don't know if they're dead or what, but there's a group of us that still chat and stuff.
Oh, that's great. Well, Kyle, I just had an epiphany. Maybe if we can bring awareness to the demand for feet pictures and underwear, that is how the poverty problem can be solved.
You think so?
Possibly.
You think people in Harrisburg have nice feet?
Oh, well, they might. I don't know. I mean, there might be an ugly foot fetish.
Just like ugly, stinky feet.
Yeah.
I mean, they do say like some stank on them whenever the men are doing their thing with them. So I have this funny story, and I feel weird telling this with, you know, her in the other room. She's probably up at the door listening. But one of my buddies in New Orleans, he was telling me about this one time he was with a really young girl, and he said, "Have you ever given a foot job?"
Oh.
And she's like, "No, what is a foot job?" And he's like, "Okay." So he stands at the end of the bed and he's like, "Put your feet up like this." So she puts her feet up like this. And then obviously, you know what happens next.
Yeah.
And he's like, "That's a foot job." And he was telling me this story and he told it super hilarious. But I was like, dude, imagine the next guy this girl's dating. She's going to be like, "Hey, have you ever had a foot job?"
Yeah, that's her line that she's going to just continue.
Oh my God. I was like, you created a monster, bro.
That is great.
You think that's how all fetishes get started?
Yeah, probably so. Got to be introduced to it. So, or see it online.
So in New Orleans, there are swingers conventions down there.
Yeah.
And there are several sex clubs.
Oh.
Yeah. and not a lot of people that aren't from New Orleans know these things, but the swingers convention, when they come to town, they will rent out an entire hotel, and that's basically like their hotel for the weekend. And they stay there, they go out to clubs, they do all this like crazy shit down there. The sex clubs, though, like you can go get a membership to them, or you can just go, and they're BYOB, all of them are. And I've never been to any of them, but I've heard a lot about them. And I've been invited several times, just never actually went to them. That's on my bucket list for before I move out of New Orleans, just to go like check them out and see what it's all about.
I'd have to go, even if I didn't participate.
What's what I'm saying? It's like an experience, right?
Right. Like, so they have different rooms and everything?
Yeah. So according to what I've been told, you go in and there's a bar and like a big open room. And then you like walk up some stairs and there are several rooms that are single rooms. So you can go in there with a single person and you can lock the door. They have locks on those. And you keep on going down the hallway and there's a bed that's like as big as this room, the bed is. And it's the orgy bed.
Oh my goodness. Can you imagine? It would be fun until you like we're crawling on the bed and you got in a sticky spot.
Yeah. Hopefully they wash the sheets.
Oh, I'm sure they do. I've heard in a lot of the brothels, like around the Vegas area, they actually use disposable sheets.
They just toss them?
Toss them.
What a waste.
It's a sad waste.
I mean, there's a bunch of homeless people that could go give those sheets to.
Right, they'd be proud of them. Sydney's been wanting to go on a cruise, and I'm wanting to book it for her. And I'm thinking, watch me plan like the week of the cruise, because there's all these swingers cruise.
That'd be hilarious.
I seen today where Royal Caribbean, or one of the cruise lines, is banning the upside down pineapples on the doors.
What is that?
That's like the sign that you're a swinger.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so if you ever see an upside down pineapple on anybody's like hotel room, they're like wanting other swingers to knock.
Wow.
So I guess they're just going to have to keep them right side up now.
That's interesting. I love a good cruise.
Yeah.
I think cruises are fun.
I haven't been in a long time, but she's wanting to do like the Utopia of the Seas, the big new carnival. Not carnival, Royal Caribbean.
Does it leave from New Orleans?
It leaves from Port Canaveral.
Okay.
Like it's massive. It has water slides, and it's just like a 3-day. The one we're wanting to do, they take you out to their little private island in the Bahamas, and you come right back.
Yeah, I think those are fascinating. The reason I love them is because you get to party on the ship, and then you go to sleep, and you wake up, and you're in a new place,
right?
And you get to go explore the new place and have a good time on the island. Get back to the ship, watch some shows, party again. Go back to sleep. Do it again.
And eat.
Oh, there's food everywhere. It's nice. No, they're really fun. I was trying to get my dad and them to go on one, but he's terrified of them.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna get out. What's that?
Is he terrified of being out in the middle of the ocean?
That's what it is. Yeah, he thinks he's gonna crash, and then it's he's gonna have to swim back to land. And I'm like, dude, you're really okay out there. Trust me.
Yeah, you do your muster drill, you'll be fine.
Muster drill?
Yeah, that's the muster drill.
What is that?
Like how they tell you to like line up at your station with your lifeboats.
I don't listen to any of that shit.
You don't know your muster.
No, dude. As soon as we get on the boat, we start drinking. That's it. Yeah, whatever. If there's a catastrophe, then I'll just jump off and start swimming, I guess.
Yeah. Titanic too, coming right up.
Yeah. It's so cool to be out there in the middle of the Gulf too, because that's where we always take off from New Orleans, because we're right there beside of it. But going out in the Gulf, you look out there at night and you see all the it's crazy when you don't see any oil derricks. It's just pure darkness out there.
Yeah, it's black.
Yeah, but whenever you actually see the oil derricks, they're really cool too, because they're fucking huge.
They are massive.
Yeah, I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast a while back, and they were talking about a video where they're looking, I guess it's a drone shot or something. They're looking above the oil derrick, and then you see something that's twice the size of the oil derrick go underneath the water, and it's moving at like 500 knots.
What is it?
I don't know. It's a UFO, I guess, or what do they call them now? Unidentified aerial phenomenons, but that was under the water. So. Well,
they are saying the aliens is our oceans now.
Yeah, right. How do you feel about that?
I'm not surprised.
They're so big, like, anything could be under there.
Right. We've spent more hours studying the moon than the bottoms of our oceans. So.
Mm-hmm. So do you think the Ocean Gate thing collapsed, or do you think the aliens just collapsed it?
Oh, I think the Ocean Gate thing collapsed.
Right.
Yeah, or Cthulhu got it.
Cthulhu? Is he under the water?
Yeah.
He's the one with the frilly things on his...
Yeah. H.P. Lovecraft, I visited his grave in Rhode Island this August.
Mm-hmm.
Had to leave something because I read if you don't leave anything.
He haunts you?
Yeah.
It's probably easy to get haunted out here in the middle of nowhere.
The most haunting thing is when you just hear somebody knocking at your door in the middle of the night.
Oh, I bet. People do that?
Yeah.
Why would someone be out here in the middle of the night?
Because GPS takes people the wrong ways. So this highway connects, over to another little junction that's pretty popular.
Mm-hmm.
And so people that are coming from another town that way, it will, instead of taking them all the way up and down, it takes them down this road, and then they're all turned around and
they stop and ask for directions?
Yeah. And one night, now I've got cameras up where I can see, but I'll never forget when I lived here a while ago before I moved back in. I opened the door expecting, someone's toothless in overalls, and it was 2 guys in tuxedos and 2 girls in formal dresses, and they were telling me a house was on fire down the road, and I was like, wow.
It was like a prom thing?
Yeah, they had a wedding or something that they had went to, and I was like, that was refreshing.
I guess I've lived in a city for too long, but there's no way I would stop and ask for directions at anyone's house. I mean, when you live in a city, you get more cautious about dealing with humans. So you also become more self-sufficient.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And mean. Yeah, I feel like I've gotten more mean since I've been living in a city.
Yeah. You get a tough outer shell.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. And you're so lucky to have DoorDash.
Oh, that is nice. Yeah. Uber Eats, DoorDash. When you don't want to get out and go somewhere, you just...
Yeah. I mean, we don't have DoorDash or anything like that here.
Really? You hadn't made it here yet?
Not even in Truman.
Is it because people aren't driving, or because the businesses probably would be able to use that, right?
Well, it's kind of pricey. I don't even know if...
Yeah, if you say 40% of people are in poverty, yeah, probably not. Well, and it's right down the road too.
Right. But
I say that, but New Orleans, I literally Uber Eats the place. It's like next door to my house all the time.
Oh my goodness. I can't imagine that luxury. So a couple days out of the week, I work in Jonesboro, and I'm DoorDashing all the time, having food DoorDash, like I'm eating sushi. Mm-hmm. I feel so fancy. Have you been to Vegas lately?
I don't think I've ever been to Vegas.
You've got to go see a show at the Sphere.
You went to one? Was it Metallica?
U2.
U2?
U2. It was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
The graphics, you see these videos and stuff on TikTok, the digital technology of those screens are so much higher than the ones in your camera. It can't pick like the depth up. So when you're in there, it literally looks like it's like 4D type stuff coming at you.
So, and the entire inside is covered in screens?
Yep.
I know the outside is, but the inside is as well?
The inside is, and it's strictly designed for like audio. So it's not for basketball. I know they had an MMA fight there, but it's mostly for like immersive sound concert type stuff, and the seats vibrate, wind will blow in your face. So
when they're doing that, do they put the band right in the middle?
Yeah, on the floor.
And they have everyone on the outsides?
Yep. And then they also, like they had the U2, it looked like they had the stage project out, and it literally looked like you could like reach out and like touch them. It looked like they were projected out from the screens.
That is a very interesting concept.
And like before the show starts, there's like a bird that's flying around and he'll fly. It looks like he's flying and he flies to the other side and eventually he flies out like there's a hole in the top and it's not really a hole. But everybody was like thinking there's a real bird in there. Like, oh no,
It's that realistic?
yes.
That's wild. Yeah, no, I haven't been there yet. I don't really travel much anymore. For me, I like to sit and let the world come to me.
Oh yeah.
That's why I love New Orleans.
I'm going to come to New Orleans.
Dude, come down there, man. Anytime you come down there, let me know.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, we'll do a recap of this podcast actually in the bar where we typically do them.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. So another cool thing about, and I know you probably can't do it for what you do for a living, which is also crazy. We have THC seltzers are legal down there.
Oh yeah, I have I had my medical card. I had to give it up during my divorce.
Really?
And yeah, because my lawyer actually said that they can hold a medical card against you if it went to a custody.
What a weird fucking world we live in, man.
Right.
It's so weird to me that it can be illegal in one state and then totally illegal in the next state over. You know, like, so you can't even drive over the border and take some to your friends.
Right. And Missouri's like recreational, so.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
I wonder if they have the seltzers.
Well, I had a $30 root beer at a Metallica concert last year that had 100 milligrams of THC in it. And I didn't take any videos during the concert, but my buddy said, you had a smile on your face the whole time. So I was just standing there like.
100 milligrams?
100 milligrams. And the root beer was so good. Such a good root beer.
Well, for those out there who are listening, if you ever come across 100 milligram dosage, don't drink it. That's much.
Do it.
We have the strongest ones we have down there, but they go away in January. But right now you can get a 50 milligram seltzer. And in January, they're going to regulate everything down to 5 milligrams. So it's going to be like a beer rather than a huge dosage of weed. And I love them. I don't even drink alcohol anymore.
Yeah. I like Cali Sober.
Mm-hmm.
And I have fibromyalgia, which I don't, nothing really to do with it, but that's a qualifying condition for a medical card here. Mm. So when 2020 rolled around and you couldn't get your hair cut or anything like that, me and my friend, I think it was Whitney, drove past a dispensary. And there were cars lined up. And I was like, what? What is this? And she was like, it's medical. I was like, I'm applying. I'm getting my card. So I got my card.
What did you have to do to get it?
Just turn in my diagnosis of fibro to my family physician.
Okay. So it wasn't like an online thing?
No. And she signed off on it. And I had it. And it was 10 years ago when we were planning this thing, and Whitney and I had flipped a four-wheeler right out here in front of the house, and my back was hurt the next day a little bit. My mom said, go get checked out. And they did a CT scan, and they found 6 nodules in my thyroid. And so every 6 months, I was having to go get ultrasounds and biopsies.
Did they say what that was caused from?
No, and most thyroid nodules are diagnosed by accident. Like there's nothing weird in my T levels or nothing like that, but I've got a testimony here on the THC. So I get my medical card in 2020, and this happened 2014 when I was found to have the nodules. And then I started doing a lot of edibles, and I went like a year later because all the appointments were so backed up for my ultrasound, and they said, oh, all of your nodules are gone.
They went away.
And same thing in 2022. And then they said, we're not going to worry about having an ultrasound again. So I didn't go last year. And then in January of this year, my endocrinologist was like, let's just double check. And I got off of my marijuana card last March. And the ultrasound tech stuck it up to my neck, and she said, I'm not trying to scare you or anything, but they're going to be calling you Monday.
Get the freak out. They came back.
One did. It went, my largest one at the time, before they went away, was 1.2 centimeters. It was almost 8 centimeters, and I went to Mayo and had it cut out.
How was that?
fine.
Well,
I couldn't
have
even.
to remove the entire endocrine gland.
Right. I was scared I couldn't, like, I had got on this Facebook group about how, like, you're not going to be able to turn your head from left to right. My dad went down to Jacksonville with me because I was like, I don't want any doctor from around here cutting on it because of the blood supply off my vagus nerve, and being a speech therapist, if they cut your vagus nerve, you lose your voice. So I was like, Dad was like, okay, I'll go with you. So I woke up and turned my head left. I turned my head right. I said, Dad, there's a rocket launch in Cape Canaveral today. I said, let's rent a car and I'll drive down there. And he slept. I was just driving. I don't remember much. I wasn't on pain medication. I was probably still a little wonky from the anesthesia, but
yeah, I think a lot of times those medical issues such as that are caused from stress.
Yeah.
And then when you're doing the THC and stuff, it kind of like mitigates the stress, and those things just kind of like go away.
So I'm a firm believer in it. I need to get my card back.
Well, it makes sense why they're illegal, you know?
Yeah.
The medical system wants to keep you sick.
Yep.
So they can just keep making money off of you.
Absolutely.
I think the same way about mushrooms. Mushrooms changed my life.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was in this weird mindset when I was I think I was 28, like late 20s. And then my friends introduced me to psychedelics. And I didn't do them in the typical recreational manner where you take them and you go out and party or whatever.
Go out in nature.
I didn't do that.
Oh.
Yeah, I took them. So I was reading a book. It was called The Science of Yoga. And in this book, they were talking about these meditation techniques and things. So when I took them, I started trying these meditation techniques. And then I went into a dark room. And I had this awesome experience in a dark room because, you know, it's basically nullifying all your senses. And the mushrooms will enhance your sensory experience. So when you're nullifying your outside senses and you have an enhanced sensory experience, you tend to go inside of yourself. So for me, I went inside of myself, and then I had this awesome experience, and I was like, what the hell was that? So then I started kind of pushing those feelings, and it just opened up something inside of me that I can't even explain.
I've heard great things about it.
Oh, they're amazing. And since then, I've been microdosing for the past 2 years.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's another thing that will take the stress away from life.
I hope they would legalize the psilocybin here in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Do you ever read or follow any of Joe Dispenza's stuff?
I've heard Joe speak before, but...
You have in person?
Well, no, I mean, I've heard his podcast.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
not in person, yeah.
I'm working on a book right now.
One of his books?
Yes.
What kind of stuff does he say?
Oh, it's about meditation.
Oh, maybe I can add some stuff to it. What does he say about it?
Oh, it goes.
Because I love it.
It goes into the different like theta and beta states that you can get yourself into and how you can heal yourself. And it's called The Art of Unbreaking Yourself or something like that. It's laying in there. I just sit around and read self-help books.
I mean, it's good. Yeah. I can't read. I freaking hate reading.
Yeah.
So I force myself now to read 10 pages a day whenever I'm in New Orleans. I'm at dinner right now, I'm on break. But 10 pages a day out of books, and I have like a stack of books that I made it through in the past 3 or 4 years that I've been doing this. But when it comes to reading, it freaking sucks. Just sitting down, my attention span is that of a gnat. I
try to do 30 pages a night.
That's good. I mean, I think that's how you chew through it a little bit at a time.
Yeah, and it's a relaxing book, so.
Yeah, meditation, man. My dad was asking me about it yesterday because we went to get a turkey and we were coming back and we started talking about life and things, and he was asking me about meditation and like what it does for me and stuff. And I was like, think about the best feeling you've ever had in the world. I was like, think about that right now. And he's like, okay, it's in my head. And you know, that little slice of time that best feeling that you've ever had is, and then you take it and you go like this, you expand it out. That's what meditation is. It's pure bliss, but it's a muscle you have to grow.
Yep.
So you have to sit down, you have to work on that every single day.
And then quiet all the thoughts that are trying to intrude to.
But that's also with the working on the muscle.
Yep.
So like it's really hard to do it initially, but the more and more you do it, the easier it gets for you to do those things. So like me now, I'm so good at it that I can literally sit anywhere and just be gone. As soon as I shut my eyes, just gone.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I'm working on that. I've got a lot of voices in my head. My muscles aren't that strong yet, Kyle.
Why? It's all about, doing it all the time.
Do you do yoga at all?
No, I don't do yoga.
No, I've started dabbling on that.
Well, so the book that I was talking about is called The Science of Yoga. And in the book, they don't talk anything about doing the actual yoga. They talk about living the life of a yogi.
Okay.
Which I would say that I do live that kind of lifestyle, or the ascetic lifestyle. But when it comes to actually doing yoga, the only work that I do is go to the gym.
Yeah, I started going to the gym. It's awesome. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, I freaking love it. But that's also what's enhanced my meditation too, is going to the gym and working out, getting to like a heightened state while you're working out, and then meditating back down to a lowered state. You build these muscles up.
Yeah, I like the hot yoga. It's a either love-hate relationship, and I love it. I start hating it about 30 minutes in, but when they come and they place that little lavender scented cold towel on your forehead, when you're like...
Do you do it in Jonesboro?
Yep.
Yeah, I tried hot yoga one time there, and I sweat so bad that I almost died in there.
Yeah, you are like dripping all over the mat.
Dude, there was just a pool of sweat there. It was rough.
Yeah, you got to take a towel in and wipe your mat off. Yeah.
Where do you do it at? Is there a place up there?
Trim gym is where I do it.
Interesting. I did see the cryotherapy up there.
Yeah.
Have you tried that before?
I've done it in Memphis before.
Yeah, I thought about reaching out to them and see if they wanted to do a podcast.
Yeah.
And like talk about the benefits of it and stuff. I heard a lot of benefits of cold plunges. I'm guessing that's kind of like a cold plunge.
Yeah, I couldn't do a cold plunge, but I did the cryo. Is it cryo? Cryo in Memphis. And you have to put your socks on. And I enjoyed that a lot more than I can't make myself get in cold water.
It's like, what do you do in the cryotherapy?
I was in there for just a few minutes. And, you have a robe, you take it off, and you just kind of dance around and all this, you can just see it, the temperature. It's like, I forgot how low it gets. But literally, like the inflammation in your body is like gone. So it's fantastic. Highly recommend.
What do you like about yoga so much?
Just kind of get you in the headspace. And I'm so tight. My muscles are so tight. It's just, my body needs it.
Right. Just kind of have a lot working out.
Yeah. And then, she does this, the yoga instructors always do this little bit of meditation and set an intention before you practice and gratitude. And then you have your, what is it? Sava. I don't know the name of it.
Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh, no, that would be good after. I don't know. I probably need to drink more water after. Sasavana or something where you just lay there and you have to do nothing. That's like my favorite. After you sweat everything out.
Samadhi?
No. Savasana. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, meditation. It's a beautiful thing. But what does she say? Set an intention?
Yeah, like set an intention for your practice.
Interesting. I mean, I guess it's good for problem solving for sure. Most of the time when I'm meditating, I guess it feels like I'm listening. And I usually meditate out in the midday sun. Okay. Yeah, and I don't know what that is, but it's almost like a connection to the sun.
Yeah. Are you on the ground too? Are you grounded?
I usually meditate on the rooftop.
Okay.
Yeah, I go up to the rooftop and I meditate, and I'm just kind of like, and I'm sure people walk up on me too, but I'm so gone that I don't even know anyone's up there.
That's great. That's great.
But yes, I do practice grounding as well.
Yeah, walk around with your bare feet out on the grass.
And the craziest thing about it is all these things have scientific merit to them.
Yep.
Where we in the Western world, we typically look at those and go, oh, that's pseudoscience, or that's a soft science. But no, these things all have scientific merit.
Yep. Do
you think that we'll ever be able to adopt those in Western society in a Eastern type?
I think we slowly are. I mean, if I'm hearing about it in Harrisburg, Arkansas,
right,
it's growing and taking over.
Yeah, I saw Trinity one day. This was when she was like 7 or something like this. We were in the back of a truck riding like just to my parents' house, and she went, "Oh," and I was like, "Where'd you hear that at?" And she's like, "At school." And I'm like, "What are they teaching you?" And I guess she had a teacher that was trying to teach them how to meditate or something.
That's great.
But now she's, what is she, like 11 or 12, and she doesn't have a clue. anymore about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Do you have like a posture? Do you like do that thing?
I do have a posture. So I'll take my shoes off, and I usually rock around with rolled up pants now. I'll pull the pants above my knees just so I can maximize my skin exposure. I'll pull the sleeves up once again to maximize the skin exposure, because I believe you have to connect to the sun, right? And I'll sit with my hands firmly on my knees, back straight, and just let go. Yeah, I have breathing techniques that I do. And one of them that I use is called box breathing.
Yes.
Okay. It's where you're breathing in for 4 seconds. You hold that for 4 seconds. You breathe out for 4 seconds, and you hold that for 4 seconds.
Yep.
And you just repeat the box. And something about that, man, you get in this like crazy headspace.
That is talked about in that book in there.
Joe does.
Joe, yeah. He talks
Nice.
about all different types of.
I taught him that one.
You taught Joe.
Yeah, I taught Joe that one.
Yeah. He didn't credit you though.
That son of a bitch. Well, who'd he credit?
Himself.
Unbelievable, Joe. We'll have to talk about this later. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard Joe talk about it before. I think the what got me into it was one day I was looking at you're familiar with the chakras?
Yes.
Okay, so I was looking at this image of the chakras, and I was looking at the image of the human body and the overlay of the chakras with the endocrine glands. I was like, oh man, there might be something to this. I think they're connected. And there was a guy who taught yoga in New Orleans, and he came up to me and we were having this conversation about it. And he's like, dude, I have a book that you need to read. And that's when he gave me the Science of Yoga book. And I went and read it, and it just changed my life. That, mushrooms, and weed, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because when people smoke and do things like that around here, it's almost like they lose direction in life.
Not me.
Yeah, not you. It's
Not
like
me. When I went through college, I got my master's degree from like 2004. I was out in 5 years with a master's.
So what do you think is different between you and me and like other people? Because I mean, I'm a very productive human too.
I don't know, because I've noticed a lot of people that are like, I guess it's depressant versus stimulant and how you're wired. Because I've noticed a lot of people who like the effects of alcohol despise the effects of THC, and kind of vice versa. You know, it kind of like makes me ridiculous, and then I feel bad. But
alcohol.
Yeah, when I was going through college, my that's what I'd do. I'd study, and then I'd hit the bong, and it got me through it. And then when I graduated, I thought, oh, I can't do this anymore because I'm a professional. And then I started having multiple surgeries and health problems. I think I had 17 surgeries after I quit.
The nodules?
No, that was just this.
Just other stuff?
Yeah, all kind of like endometriosis, female stuff, gallbladder, all kind of stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And you think, and whenever you started consuming THC, it made it different?
Oh, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. And then I quit, and then it was like, boom, boom, boom.
You think it was stress?
No.
What do you
At
think it
that
was
time,
then?
I just think that the THC was helping my body. I have a good book on it too. It talks about like homeostasis and stuff, how to achieve homeostasis with THC in your body. It's with the endocrine system, how it works.
Interesting.
And it has a very big impact on the endocrine system.
Well, and what does it say? You read the book, Ashley.
Oh, it was years ago.
Okay.
It was years ago. But the biggest takeaway I remember, one of the biggest ones, is that if you're ever with anyone who like eats too much of the edibles and they are like, oh my gosh, I don't like this, that you can take the same milligram of CBD oil and it will balance each other out. And it talks about the goal of like medical marijuana is to achieve homeostasis, where you don't feel high all the time. You build up that tolerance to where you just chill. Like you don't feel just zooted, but you're just happy.
It's kind of the same thing with the microdosing of psilocybin. Is you don't want to take enough to where you even feel it. You just
Right.
want it in your system so that it actually helps you tackle life in a different way.
Yeah, I would personally like to see the trees breathe, but
Well, I mean, yeah, you can do that too. So I remember one time I took some, and I was just like kind of messing around. I was like taking like 2 mushroom caps, something like that. And I sat down to play a video game, and Tyler and them were on like the video game too. So we were like chatting with each other. And I said, "Did they update this game recently?" And they were like, "Well, yeah, they did." And I said, "Dude, the textures are so vivid." And they're like, "Well, they didn't change the textures." And I'm like, I could see every little grain that was on the wood and stuff. And it's so nuts to me that normally when I'm looking at something like this over here, that I see this, but I'm not actually seeing this.
right.
You know, I'm just seeing like an interpretation of it, but the details are kind of being washed over because it's not imperative for survival. So your brain just kind of like looks over it, glances over it. But when you take these things and they take the filters off of life, you can just see everything.
Yeah,
So whenever you said see the trees breathe, you know, that's like, what if they really are
I think they are
breathing
I think,
and they're not imperative for our survival? Because as a quote I heard the other day, it was, the eye evolved to help us survive. It didn't evolve to actually see reality for what it really is. And that's so true. Like the trees aren't really going to attack us, so we don't even know what the trees really are.
right. Do you think we're living in a simulation, Kyle?
Well, there are a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me, and they seem to think so. I don't know that it's a simulation, but I do think that I have a good enough fundamental understanding of reality now to be able to manipulate it.
Right, right.
Yeah. So, which could mean that, yes, this is a simulation. Because typically humans think they can't manipulate reality. But I think that now I have a grasp on it enough where I can make it move to my will.
Right. So you're a manifester.
That's one way to describe it.
Yeah.
I would like to think of myself as a magician.
A magician. I love it. You got the magician beard.
That's right. No, whenever I started studying religion and science in a very deep manner, I started seeing these overlaps, which they're kind of the same thing. The way we look at religion in the Western society is that we see it through metaphor. So we're not actually seeing it the way they do in the Eastern philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can take the Eastern philosophy of religion and overlay that on the Western science, you'll see that those are literally saying the same thing.
Yep.
And these are ways to manipulate reality on a fundamental scale. I'll give you an example. You were talking about homeostasis, which is the same thing as saying balance.
Right.
Okay. So the universe also wants to be at balance. Okay. So if something negative happens in your life, typically something positive has to happen to offset that, right?
Right.
So that life can be at balance. And these things may be over, a long period of time where the negatives and positive balance out. And it could be where this one really bad negative thing happens and then a lot of small positive things happen to bring it back in balance. But if you know this, then what you can do is you can kind of like add negative things into your life and then create the imbalance. And then the universe has to move in order to bring it back. Yes. So for instance, one of the things that I do is in my apartment building where I live, there are typically parking spots that are close to my apartment, but I always park as far away as I can. So I'm adding a little bit more negativity in my life that's building up over time, which then makes the universe have to move into a positive manner for me.
And then you're getting more steps in.
And that too, yeah. It's the same way as going to the gym. You can look at it this way right here. This is a more tangible way people can look at it. Is I fucking hate going to the gym. Like it's the worst. But if you go to the gym and put yourself in that negative position, then you end up with muscles,
Right.
which is a positive thing. It helps you get through life easier. It also helps you with longevity in life. So, I mean, when you know these things, you can kind of start manipulating them to make life bend to your will.
I get it.
Be like water, my friend.
Be like water, be still.
Yeah, but I think all these things have very beneficial aspects. Do you ever study like Eastern religions or Eastern philosophies and all?
Oh, yeah. I've got a...
Obviously, if you're into Joe Dispenza.
I've got a friend, and he is Buddhist. So it's been interesting to hear his like philosophies on life.
What does he say?
like about reincarnation and that kind of thing.
I'm interested. Do you know? Can you tell some of his stories or some of his insights?
Oh goodness, I don't want it to step on up, but he's friends with a very big rock star,
Mm-hmm.
and who also is a Buddhist, and they believe that one was a monk and one was a student
In a past life.
in a past life, and in another past life they were brothers, and then they found themselves in this life, and they like still teach each other things and hang out all the time.
Interesting.
Yeah,
The only reason it's interesting is because I've had similar experiences.
it's like you go somewhere and you feel like you've been home, like it's home.
Yeah, that's why I feel like I'm in New Orleans. And a lot of the people that I meet in New Orleans, I feel like I've known these people for a long time. And we can talk off camera about some of the other things.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I've had very similar experiences with the, and I wouldn't say that I'm Buddhist. I would say I'm more Hindu if I had to choose anything.
Yeah.
But I really say that I have no religion.
Right.
Yeah, because I hate organized religion.
Yeah, it's almost like manipulation and control.
Yeah, it was just another group. Like humans want to be a part of a group so bad, and I don't want to be a part of any groups. I want to be part of one group, and that group is humanity.
And I have a lot of Christian friends, but man, they're sometimes the first to judge.
But yeah, I mean, it's around here. That's kind of what you do. You grow up in you're the Baptist or Christian, right?
Right.
Or there's probably like Pentecost too, I guess.
Oh yeah, and the Methodist, and the Methodist will speak to you in the liquor stores. The Baptist won't.
Methodist, I forgot that was a thing too.
Yeah, that's what I grew up.
Don't Baptists drink though?
Oh well, most of them are the drunkest, but they're like the most anti not drinking.
Oh,
but
so
they're the closet alcoholics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a podcast a while back with someone we know. It was from around here, and we were I was kind of wanting his insight because I like to do these very conversational. So I want to know your thoughts. But the entire time, all he would do is quote the Bible. And I'm like, I'm not getting any of your thoughts. All you're doing is quoting the Bible back to me. Right. So this is not even fun for me.
Right.
Because I have my own thoughts on the Bible and stuff. And then if I'm not getting any feedback from you, then it's just me talking to a brick wall.
Right.
Or I might as well sit down and talk to the Bible.
Right. It's like that. I can't remember that little boy that was a preacher, and like Oprah had him come on. Do you remember? He was like, I said, and he was like doing all these testimonies. And then one of the ladies in the audience said, can you please explain what that means? And he was just like,
he had nothing.
Yeah.
All he did was memorize the words. Do you think that's like lack of critical thought, or what do you think?
I think his parents forced it into him. I think his dad was a preacher.
Well, for that guy, obviously, but for a grown man to...
Probably personal thought, a lot of personal things, probably. But I think it's fascinating to learn about it, other religions and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to argue and fight with them and say, that I don't believe that, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I think everyone should learn about other religions. Don't just take the one you grew up in and go, this is the one.
Right.
Learn about other ones. That way you can at least explore other realities, but also you can find the commonalities.
And even in Christianity, there's so many, so many different levels. Like the Church of Christ only believe they're the only Christians going to church or going to heaven. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. Church of Christ, they don't believe the Baptist or anybody like that. Any of the other denominations are going to church. And some churches of Christ are so, what's the word I'm looking for? They're so into their church that they believe that their specific church is the only church going to heaven.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, that should make you go to hell.
Right.
Do you actually believe there's a heaven and hell?
I do.
Okay. So this is another conversation Dad and I were having a chat about yesterday. I think that heaven is right here and hell is literally down there. Heaven is head, heaven is heel.
Okay.
Or excuse me, hell is heel. So it's basically like you're in the, and you can also equate this to the chakras. The upper chakras, the crown chakra, is your head or heaven. And then the lower chakras, or the ones that are more equated to the animal senses, is close to your heel.
Root. Yeah.
And this is just the correlations of like, looking at this religion, and going, hang on, there's overlap here.
How many chakras are there?
Well,
Are
there's
there 12?
Okay, there's a lot, but in like the modern interpretation, or like the one you'll see mostly is 7.
7, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but I mean there are nadis all over the body, and these nadis are these energy centers.
Have you ever had anybody perform Reiki on you?
Someone offered to one time, but so when it comes to the energy stuff, I believe I'm in a good place. Like I'm balanced. So I don't really need anyone to do these things on me.
I've had it done before. It was wild.
What was, they used like the tuning forks and stuff?
Yeah, she had tuning forks, and then she used her hand, and then like you could really like feel like heat coming off. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, I had a guy on the podcast a while back, and he's a Pilates teacher, but he also knows Reiki and stuff. And he was talking about it one time, and he was basically saying it was like, whenever you feel it, it's like heat coming off your hands.
Yeah, you can feel it. It's crazy. It's crazy. There's a lot of stuff in there.
But you believe in that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I paid like $70 for this session, and I was like, came out a believer.
Yeah, no, I definitely believe in energy because of my understanding of science. So, we are just slowed down forms of energy. Mm-hmm. Of light, really.
You would love that book in there I have.
I told you, I taught Joe everything he knows. So yeah, I mean, I've already read the book.
It talks about how like we are nothing but energy. Like
no, it's all you are. And whenever you learn this, and you learn that everything around you is also energy, that's when you can start manipulating it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Anytime, this is one of my other rules in life, is anytime someone gives me a book or says I need to read this book, there's obviously something in it that I need to know, because it's not just you giving me the book, it's the universe bringing it to my attention.
Right. Well, I haven't quite finished it, or I'd give it to you, but I will let you. I'll send you. I'll take a picture of it, or you can take a picture of it.
Yeah, send me a picture of it. Have you ever had an astrologist read your chart?
Oh, not my chart. I've done the tarot stuff.
Okay, dude, I've
paid an Etsy witch.
An Etsy witch. So there was a guy that I saw on YouTube. It was like 5 years ago or something. And he was looking at people's face, and he was telling them what their sign was. And they were confirming that he was right just by looking at their fucking face. And I was like, who is this guy? So I go and I start researching who this guy is. And I find his website. I can't remember his fucking name right now for no reason. But I found his website, and I log in, and I get on his sign-up sheet, because he has a list that is like a mile long of people, like a wait list. So I get on there and I sign in, and a year goes by. And I forget that I even signed into this thing.
Did he say you're a Sagittarius?
No.
Are you a Sagittarius?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know the actual. So I'll tell you what he did, okay? I'm a Capricorn. My birthday's in December.
In December.
Yeah, it is in December.
Oh, okay. Close.
So anyway, the guy, he hits me back up, and he's like, yo, your reading is going to be on this date. We'll do a Skype call. And so I get on the Skype call, and he starts because he's looking at your star chart, okay? And if anyone's ever seen a star chart, just Google star chart, and you can see what he's looking at. But he starts from when I was a baby, and he starts going through my life, telling me about all these events that have happened and all the things that I'm working on, and it is so accurate.
Really? Do you have this information? I'm interested.
Yeah, I have his information. I have the video, because he'll send you the video after he's through. And he'll also send you the entire breakdown that he did, like your actual chart and what he was looking at. And he was so scarily accurate that at one point I stopped him, and I was like, hang on a second. Because he just starts going. He just starts like rolling through like your life. And I said, how are you getting this? And he's like, I'm just looking at the chart here. I don't know if it's right or wrong. Like I'm just looking at reading what it says on the chart. And I said, yeah, but like, how are you understanding? He's like, everything around us is connected. Think of it like it's a big bubble. The entire universe is a big bubble. And whenever you're brought into reality, whenever you're first imprinted onto the egg, when the sperm hits the egg, there's like a time of gestation, and then wherever the stars are at in the universe, the bubble of the universe, they're shooting out these protons, or not protons, but he said, what did he say? They're shooting out particles. And wherever these planets are at, they're all shooting out particles at the Earth. And these particles are basically imprinting on you at the time that you imprint on the embryo. So then you're the representation of where the planets are in the universe at that time. It's like you're that frequency. And then we can look at that and we can go through life. And then he gets up to the point of life where I'm at right now. And he says, okay, do you want me to tell you where you're going to be at in the future or what you should be working on? And I said, yes, I want you to tell me like the correct path that I'm supposed to go on. And, that sounds like that you don't have any choice. But he said, you definitely have choice in where you're going to be in life. If you start moving through life and you're getting a lot of resistance with life, then you're not on the right path. That there is like a correct path for you to be on. And then when you're on that path, you won't get any resistance from life.
Okay.
So if you ever find yourself on a resistance path,
I'm on the wrong path.
You're on the wrong path. But he said that there is a correct path for you to go on, but you do have choice.
So do you have to know like the exact time of your birth and location and all of that stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you should definitely get on his wait list. It's really, really fascinating to hear this guy talk. And he's old too, so if anyone's interested, they should probably do it right now.
Before he runs out of time.
Yeah. But I think he has a few proteges that he's teaching too, but they're not as good as the real thing.
Okay. I definitely want to get the info from you.
Yeah, I'll hook you up with the info. But yeah, another life-changing experience.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh my God, I don't know why you're so proud of me.
For getting out of...
You got a package.
Look who it is.
It's my dad.
Yeah, Tony.
My daddy, he's deaf. He got cochlear implant.
Oh. Well, we can wrap this up. Is there anything you want to say to the camera before we wrap it up? What's up, Tony? How you doing, brother?
Dad, we're doing a podcast.
What?
We're doing a podcast.
Okay.
Well, Ashley, it was great talking to you today. We'll chat with your dad.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks, guys.